What's up, guys? It's Terrell
And Jarius.
and you are tuned in to Suave Sessions.
How did you guys meet? When did you meet? How did the relationship start?
Yeah, so we actually met freshman year in college. Super young at the time. We were both in relationships. We met at a haunted house. And Jarius felt that I was super attracted to him at the time. Yeah, that's what he thought. It was a haunted house, and I grabbed him during a part surrounding snakes because I'm definitely afraid of snakes. And he took that as a pass. And like I said, we were both in relationships at the time, so nothing happened. We just, we found out we lived the street over from each other, and ended up meeting in a mall actually by random, like a week later. We became cool, and eventually it just kind of progressed from there. And so now this year will be our 12th anniversary. I'm like, after 10,
yeah, I can help you.
Yeah, after 10, it's kind of just like another year. It is. You remember the 10th. I feel like, and I remember the 20th. Or 10, 15, 20.
How you gonna remember 15 if you don't know when we gonna get the 15th?
Because I just remember like the 15th is coming up.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how long were you guys in your relationship before you decided to take your relationship into social media?
We decided to go into social media in 2016. Mm-hmm. So we had been together 5 years at that point.
Okay. Was it challenging, or were there like hesitations on doing that, on inviting people into your personal life, especially? Well, 2016, it wasn't really that bad.
That's what I was going to say. So I think social media was a very different time when we started. We also started in announcing like we were pregnant, and so I feel like that was when we really like started posting on social media, and it was scary. We had done an article in Wall Street Journal just announcing that we were pregnant. We had partnered with the company that we had used to conceive, and the article came out. And we weren't even out yet at the time. And so the article came out, super nerve-wracking. I remember I was on a business trip, and I was just like, oh my goodness, somebody's going to go in the hotel lobby and like see this article, and I'm not out to anyone. But what happened was we read it, and I got really emotional because not only did they print it, but they put it online. And we just saw some really negative comments, and it was just very disheartening. And in that moment, I called Joyce, and I was like, listen, I had been hesitant about coming out. He'd been wanting to just like tell the truth. And we were roommates forever. And I was just like, now I feel like I have an obligation to, not only our relationship, but our unborn child to like live authentically. Like it doesn't make sense to keep keeping this a secret, and we're about to like welcome new life into the world.
Right.
And so it really was, that kind of pushed it. I feel like getting all the negativity from us, being a part of that article, and wanted to do, and little updates about the baby. We started.
I always say it's one thing when you kind of like put yourself out there and you decide to come out to the world. It's a very different situation when someone else does it for you. Was your family aware, or was it just like only close friends knew?
We had literally a handful of people that we were close with in college that knew.
Okay.
My mom knew, and then Terrell's mom knew as well, but the rest of our family was completely blind to, our relationship. And I feel like that's an even greater conversation for a lot of people as to why, you are going into your adulthood hiding who you are. But I think that's, really the reason that we do what we do, so other people don't have to feel that they have to hide who they are and things like that coming up.
Yeah. When you shit. So you're announcing a baby and announcing like sexuality all at the same time. Well, you're not announcing it, it's announced.
Yeah.
Did the decision at that point say, well, since this is already here, let's go ahead and do the social media thing? And with that decision, do you regret any part of starting that transition to putting your life on social media?
Yeah, so I think at the time, and we tell everyone this, we were fresh out of college. Like we had graduated in May, and we were expecting a baby. We found out we were expecting our first baby by October of that same year. And so we went through many avenues and options of how we were gonna go about being parents. I was very adamant about it. I knew that I wanted to be a parent because I, grew up in a big family. And so when we started sharing on social media, it was truly out of not seeing anybody that looked like us on social media sharing their journeys. Like we were going through this blind. We didn't find anyone as young as us. We didn't find anyone that was Black that was doing it or talking about it. They didn't talk about costs, how you handle emotions during it. And so we were just like, you know what, like this social media thing, like I actually wish that we would have started sooner because we went through so much relationship to be here 12 years later. Like I always tell guys, like, I just think it would be amazing to show everyone how it was in the beginning and how here we are still like, together. But we went through a lot of things, in college and overcame them. And so when we started on social media, again, it was just to fill a void. And so I don't have regrets of sharing. We did with that pregnancy, she ended up having a miscarriage at 20 weeks. So that was tough for us at that time. I think that we both regretted sharing anything on social media because it was really hard to deal with our emotions and then deal with this fan base that we were cultivating and creating, who were also like very in tune with everything that was going on with the pregnancy. So that was tough, but I think Jarius and I from the beginning have never really gotten too far into like oversharing. I think that we still keep it balanced.
Yeah, I would say we do have a really good balance. Especially nowadays that I feel like we're years into doing this and I feel like we have a really good grasp on, some things are just for us and some things are not for a camera, some things are just for our memory. But I also feel like I don't regret sharing because I feel that it's created a sense of purpose in us that far is beyond us. Creating a legacy for our children. It's creating generational wealth in a way that, we could have never imagined. So I think for us, it's just honestly been a blessing and to be able to help a lot of people and bridge a lot of gaps with, within people's families as well.
I think I'll add to like with that, for anyone that's looking to start out on social media, you see a lot of people and it's starting to become very like diluted now and overpopulated on social media. Everyone wants to be social media famous. I think that it's a lot of the things that we've shared online, we did not go through in that particular moment all the time. And I think that that's important for people to know because I think a lot of people will get on camera, on live and be crying and going through something super detrimental and something super hurtful. And it's kind of like, that's not in hopes to go viral or in hopes to like gain a sense of community. I definitely think that people should see community and social media helps, like groups. We've joined a lot of different parenting groups and things like that. But a lot of things, Jarius and I, with our relationship, and I think why we've been able to last so long, is that we also deal with things off camera and at least be at a comfortable place to be able to speak about it if we do decide to share it on camera. I'm not going to have this huge fallout with him and then get on camera and talk about it because we feel obligated to share with our followers. And so I think that that's something that
the good and the bad. You're not gonna get, go and have an argument and then next thing get on camera and act as though everything's fine just for the sake of views and money. And that's what gets a lot of people trapped up these days.
quick, and it happens. It happens fast and hard, and people don't really realize like you're oversharing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's cringeworthy in some situations. It's like get off and go sit down somewhere. So when you guys dealing with the negative comments, how do you deal with it? I know it's easy to say, just kind of like don't let it bother you, but some stuff is like, I know personally, I'd be ready to like pull these Twitter fingers together and go ape shit on somebody, but I can't. So it's like, how do you deal with that?
So God is still working on me.
Okay.
I have gotten. If you catch me on a bad day, I will still respond. Now, whether my management sees it or Jarius sees it is another thing. We try to talk about it. I have faced a lot of like comments about my body. It's evolved. So before it was all about just like our relationship. And after a while, like seeing the same scripture, seeing the same Bible thumpers like in our comments, spewing negativity and hate, I mean, you can kind of get past that. I think for us, because our family is involved and our children, I think that's what makes it just like a little bit more hurtful and when we kind of like step out of character. But it does take a toll on you. And we have, for us, I don't say just ignore it. Comments as a creator help you to evolve also in some ways. Comments can be beneficial, comments can be hurtful. And like Jarius said, we take the good with the bad also. But like you started this off, people think that they know you, but they don't. So a lot of people have comments on things, and it's up to you to be able to differentiate what you want to take in and allow in your space. But it's not easy. I mean, to this day, like it's a lot of comments that really get under my skin. And luckily, I have Jarius that can talk me down off the ledge, reassures me that, the things that I'm stressing about that I may read in comments are not true. It's just someone's opinions. But I don't think that it ever gets, quote, easier. I think that you just, again, the same thing that we try to instill in our kids about just building up your confidence at home and building up all the things that are positive about you and affirmations that if someone else tries to tear you down, like it does nothing to you. But it's still a work in progress. I'll say that.
For me, I think most people would probably think that I have the harder time with the comments because of my personality. But honestly, I feel like we've gotten to a point in our career where we are happy. And I think that more than anything these days, like I remember when we first started, like I talked about all of these different goals of, wanting this many followers and this many subscribers. And, I wanted to make this much money a year and all of these different things. And I feel like that's all great. But I think what a lot of people don't really take into account in this career field is that it takes a toll on your mental. And I think that after a certain point, your desires shift. And I'm more focused on my peace and my happiness. And I feel like if I take from the comments the good and I'll read the bad, but if I can read it and know that it's a personal attack from someone that doesn't know me personally, then I roll off my shoulders and I keep going. But I think that we receive way more love than hate. And so in that, I would rather put my energy into the love that we receive and so that I can push that back out rather than focus on the hate, especially from people that don't know you and don't understand like your dynamics, don't know what's going on in your household, and everybody's trying to form these opinions and assumptions and things like that. And it's just like really when you truly think about it, it's not anything that holds weight in your life. Right. So I think for Terrell, while he says he's still like a work in progress and God's still working on him, I feel like, some things hurt more than others, true indeed. But I think I really sit down and look at it. I think about how blessed I am. I think about how, the lives I'm affecting. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I'm too busy to be worried about the negativity that people are talking about.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes into like the next area. Like you guys you're breaking a lot of stigmas. The fact that you have your kids and you're showing like this loving family, and you have the people who would say that this isn't a correct family dynamic, or this is an unfit situation for a child, but yet you're showing more love to your child than a heterosexual family may be. So it's to be able to not necessarily even like verbally or vocally challenge that, but just to show that there's nothing different in my house than from your house. How important is that for you two as parents to make sure that that message is relayed over properly?
I will say this, and then I'll let you chime in. I feel like I used to operate under the mentality that we're no different than one another, right? And I think that to a certain degree that's true. But we also have to acknowledge that we are different in a lot of different ways, in the ways that, just our family is. It's different from what society has traditionally been taught, is okay and acceptable. But I feel like from our perspective, I just think we're not doing anything that is super abnormal. And I think that's what we want to highlight more than anything, especially from the perspective of being fathers. Black fathers, for sure. We're active in our kids' lives. We have to deal with attitudes just like any other. He gets talking back, and we're trying to create structure, and we're trying to create boundaries, and we're trying to lead with love and instill good and positivity into these kids that we love so much. And I think, just like anyone else, we're just trying to figure it out day by day and trying, to do our best. It just so happens that because there is not enough representation to show that, hey, Black fathers or LGBTQ plus parents in general are out here trying to raise good people and good humans. I think that that's what pushes us to do it and to put our lives in the forefront. But really and truly, when you really think about it, like if you break down every other layer, we're just good parents that's just out here trying to make it and trying to survive these toddler years, and all these kids can get to Disney together.
I think with having two toddlers, I think that it's our hope that what we're doing now makes the world more understanding by the time our kids are older and can have these conversations and are explaining more that they have two dads. We got a chance to see it. They just finished their first year of pre-K. And the one thing that I took away from that is that kids are like a blank canvas, and we say that all the time. Kids are not born saying, "Oh my God, two dads are weird." Like that's what older people instill in them, and then it carries on from generation to generation. And so for Jarius and I to be implementing so much love and just teaching our kids just to love people, to be kind people, and hopefully they can spread that when they go out into the world as well. It lets us know that we have a part to play in our future. And so for us, it's just extremely important because I wouldn't want my kids to ever go out and face any type of backlash because they have two dads. And so again, when we talk about normalizing things, really just creating visibility and getting the representation that we actually do it. But like Jarius said, I think that because you don't see it enough, it's almost just like we're this weird alien couple that have two kids. Can't do it because we've just never seen that. And it's the same with fatherhood. People highlight us for being Black dads involved in our kids' lives. I'm just like, all around the world, it's just because what you guys see is that you think that Black fathers are not present. You think that Black fathers lead, but we don't deserve an award for being dads. Like, these are our kids, And
right.
I was like, we can literally be taking our kids to go and get ice cream. And like, there are so many people that would stop us and be like, oh my God, you guys are just so amazing. Like, active fathers. And I'm just like, we are literally stopping at the ice cream.
We're just getting ice cream.
The bar is just so low.
And I'm like, we have got to do better with changing the narrative on, Black parenting and Black fatherhood. And I just think that's why it's really important for not only us, but for others like us and others outside of our community too, to step up and just show that this is not actually like anything taboo. Like it's a day in, day out responsibility that we do.
Yeah, I haven't crossed that boundary yet. I still have my dog, and that's about as far as I can go right now.
And we got 3 of them.
Yeah, 3 dogs.
Yes. Yeah. 3 children, 3 dogs.
Oh, y'all real brave. y'all real brave.
And we've had our dogs for 11 years too.
Yeah. Responsibilities.
No. No. What do you want to leave the world with, outside of like showing loving parents, loving relationship? What do you aspire to leave the world with as your legacy?
Yeah, I think for me, outside of social media, and I think that's another thing, I guess, for anyone that watches this, that tunes into, that wants to be a content creator, that wants to share their lives, don't let social media be the end for you. Find ways to, especially if you build an audience, to branch out. And Jarius and I are doing a ton of different things now. We've actually opened up like a franchise, like a restaurant. Like, so we're doing that in there. Jarius is pursuing different his real estate license, because we've been like flipping homes together. So for us, I just think that from being from Louisiana, from being from Jarius, a really small town, and again, I'm in Louisiana, so they're all small towns. He's just a really small town. Well, say what you're saying. Being from Louisiana, where odds were against us, and thinking that 2 guys, Black guys, are going to come out as gay, and to be able to have now 3 kids, to be able to share their lives on social media, to be able to make money from doing it, and people be interested in hearing their story, to owning multiple businesses, a restaurant. I think our legacy is just going to be like perseverance, being against all odds, stereotype breakers on the people that said we couldn't, and again, just devoted in our relationship, because I think all the things that we're showing, again, we're never going to say that we paved the road. I think that we're just shedding light to this is a path also. And so us being in a relationship for 12 years, everybody's astounded by that. And I'm just like, I'm sure there are other, same-sex couples that have been together longer or as long as us. And so
I think of it as almost as like a road was laid out for us, right? It was a dirt road. And, there are people that have come behind us and have poured concrete and made it a lot easier to travel. And I feel like now we're just going in and adding some lights here and there and some grass and all that stuff to make it nice and pretty. And there'll be people that'll come behind us that's going to make it a lot more easier for the next person to travel down that road as well. But I think for me, what's really important, and I share that as well, but I think also what I want to leave behind, I'll speak from a personal perspective rather than everyone else, because Terrell already addressed it. I think personally what I want to leave is for my kids to be able to go through this life figuring out how they can be their happiest self and how they can be their most healthiest self too. And I think that we as a Black community do not put enough emphasis on trying to figure out how to be at peace with ourselves enough. And I think that going through all of the things that we've gone through, especially in being, so visible on social media and having, I guess, literally a direct path and a lot of negativity, I think for me personally, I don't want to, say that I'm going to work to the bones until I'm 60, 70 years old. And then I'm going to, just not be able to really enjoy life because I'm older at that point. I want to but figure out now, how can I be the happiest that I can be? How can I be at peace? And how can I transfer that to my children so that they can go through life and that they can have as less stress as possible and be the happiest that they can be too? I think that's the legacy that I want to leave behind for them, and just knowing that their parents were good people and that we try to do something positive in the world and try to create a world that's more equitable for everyone.
That's the perfect way to close this out.